Hey guys, welcome to PhoneRadar. This is Chetan and today we are going to do the review of the Lenovo A7000 smartphone available for rupees 9000, and for this price this for sure is one of the best budget smartphones because you're getting some power packed specifications. And what was the myth about MediaTek processor being lesser in quality than the Snapdragon one? It's against that here because the MediaTek MT6752 in this does a very good job in the performance of the smartphone. And let's talk about the specifications of this device first. It's a 5.5-inch device that comes with the MediaTek MT6752. That's an octa-core 64-bit processor, and there's 2 GB of RAM along with that. With the camera combination, it's 8 MP on the rear with the dual LED flash, and on the front there's a 5 megapixel camera. So again, comparing this with the predecessor, that's the A6000, that was a 5-inch device but the resolution stays the same on both, and the A6000 had a Qualcomm Snapdragon 410 chipset, while the camera on the back was the same 8 megapixel, and on the front there was a 2 megapixel shooter for the A6000, but here it's a 5 MP one and it does a very good job for selfies and video calling. So this is the A7000 and you can see it has a very good build quality, just like what was on the A6000. You can't expect more than this because it's still plastic, and the removable back cover is somewhat advantageous because you get the access to the removable battery and the access to SIM card slots as well as the micro SD card slot for the storage expansion. The speaker is located on the back, but the dual speakers that were seen on the bottom of the A6000 are removed, and there's a single speaker just beside the Lenovo branding on the back, and the speaker are of pretty good quality with the output levels. There's a Dolby Atmos in this, but the Dolby Atmos is more about the headphone output and not on the speaker output. It's still good with the levels of sound. And the Lenovo A7000 has a 720p resolution display. That is where the pixel density gets a bit compromised because the 5-inch display of the Lenovo A6000 had a 720p display as well, and that's where the PPI ratio went higher in that, but it's lower in this. So a bit of pixelation is for sure being seen here, but the viewing angles are great and the brightness is also very good. Color reproduction has no issues, but the only issue is while reading the text under bright sunlight, you would be seeing a lot of reflectiveness of the screen on this device. So with the display, it isn't really disappointing, but at the same time you might have expected a bit more than 720p display. But again, for the price of rupees 9000, there are quite a lot of competitors. No one has a better screen than this because the Redmi Note 4G, the Eureka as well as the Huawei Honor 4X all have the same screen size and the same resolution. Talking about the operating system, this is the first Lenovo smartphone to have Android 5.0 Lollipop out of the box, and this is quite a bit new interface. And what Lenovo claims to have given here is the options that you had seen on the flagship devices of Lenovo, that's the Lenovo Vibe X2, where a lot of features such as the gesture modes and all were available, and none of them were given in the A6000. But again, you would see all of them here. That's quick snap, tap to light, screen of gestures, smart scene, wide touch. So these are the features that you would see as gestures in the Lenovo A7000, and that is something good for you to get at this price point again. The smartphone has some pre-installed applications such as Share It, Sync It, Google Maps as well, and there's a Navigate application, UC Browser, Evernote, TXTR ebooks. So a lot of bloatware is included here, but you can choose to delete them if you don't want to have them here. So there's Dolby Audio. That's one of the most important parts of this device because this Dolby Atmos technology, the first smartphone in the world to have this. But there was a lot of talk about this being a marketing gimmick more than an actual practical purpose. But when tested this with some of the high-end headphones, it did work a lot because of the surround sound it gave on the two sides of the headphones, and that was good in that way. But again, when you are paying a price of rupees 9000, you don't expect to pay a lot for the headphones, and the earphones given with this obviously aren't good at all except for taking calls. There's a theme center given in the Lenovo A7000, and there are some pre-installed themes available, and there's no theme store so that you can download any extra theme. These are just 6 themes from which you can choose, but wallpapers can be changed for each. The lock screen view can be changed, and there's a recent task list theme that you can use. That's between the thumbnail view or the Android kind of carousel view. So we have the Android view carousel view here. You can just swipe them to close the application. One of the most important parts for this price range is the performance of the devices. Eureka had a brilliant performance, but that disappointed with the heating issues. The Redmi Note 4G did not heat to that extent, but it could not play the high-end games very well. The last one was the Huawei Honor 4X, which couldn't play a few games at all. So that is where the Eureka was one of the best for us. But next is this Lenovo A7000, which did a brilliant job with the gaming. For all the games we tested, even including the Dead Trigger 2, the Asphalt 8, as well as the Modern Combat 5, all the games played very well without any frame drops, and it was quite pacey without any issues. So that is where this smartphone could be called one of the best performing devices in this price range. And you might have to now look over to Snapdragon and MediaTek war, because the MediaTek chipset in this actually performed very well. Out of the 2 GB of RAM, about 1.2 GB is usually available when there's no app running and when the phone was just rebooted. And there's an entire theme center for you to change the settings. There's wallpaper settings and also the home screen settings given here. Under the settings, you would see a few interesting options such as the permission control, secure zone management. There's a power manager where you can have the battery saver as well as the ultimate power saver turned on. So ultimate power saver is the one that enables only calling and messaging functions, and due to that the standby time increases on the device. For the 2900 mAh battery, we felt the phone to have given a battery life of over a day very easily when the screen on time was not more than 3 hours. But while playing some games or while using 3G or 4G connectivity, we haven't tested the 4G to be frank, but on 3G connectivity it does drain a bit faster than usual. So that's again normal, but still you won't be able to get it throughout the day if you are using 3G continuously with the screen on. So the 2900 mAh battery is not really bad on this smartphone. Coming to the camera, that's the 8 megapixel camera on the back and a front facing 5 megapixel camera. The Lenovo camera application isn't bad. It has not many options, but again there's no clutter in the UI. The camera application is pretty decent, and we have done a camera review which you can check here to understand how well the cameras do on this smartphone. We were disappointed with the low light captures, but on natural light it was a pretty decent camera for an 8 megapixel sensor on it. The 1080p video recording isn't really bad, but again you might notice a lot of shakes because there's no software or hardware support for the stabilization of the images. For the selfies, the 5 megapixel front facing camera does a pretty brilliant job, and not just selfies but also for the video calls. You notice the devices to heat up a lot when you are doing Skype calls, but here the case was different because it didn't heat up that much on Wi-Fi when you are doing the Skype video calls. So overall, for the price of Rs 9000, except for the camera on the back, that's the 8 megapixel camera, the Lenovo A7000 is one of the best budget smartphones, which can be pretty much compared with the Eureka, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4G, the Xiaomi Redmi 2 as well as the Huawei Honor 4X. Even the Redmi 2 does a better job in the camera when compared to the A7000, but the A7000 beats them with the performance as well as with the Android version, if that's important for many of you. Although the Eureka has got the latest Android 5.0 on the Cyanogen mod, but still this is a pretty brilliant and good device for the price you're paying for it. So that was a review of the Lenovo A7000 smartphone. Do like this video and share it, and stay subscribed to PhoneRadar for more videos. Thank you.